Rev up your engines! Alright, today we're talking Toyota Rav4s, 2014. Rav4s, the last few years, have been the best-selling SUVs in America, so they're pretty well made. But would you buy one with 160,000 miles? Now you can see body-wise it's in excellent shape. And as we open up the door, this baby was made in Canada. The Canadians do a pretty good job. When they're made in Canada, I don't have any qualm. But as you can see, it's got 160,511 miles. Is that too much? Often not on a Rav4, but let's check this one out. Now, he bought this one at a dealer for $14,000. That's the price that they're going for. If you price a brand new one, especially a hybrid, now this isn't a hybrid, but if you price a brand new one, I've seen hybrids around here going for $56,000. You're saving a lot of money buying a used one, but of course the question always comes up, is it going to hold up? Does it run right? Well, let's start with the engine. Now, he wanted a good, comfortable car that gets decent gas mileage that's going to last a long time. So, he opted out for the 4-cylinder engine. Now, these 2.5 liter 4-cylinder with Toyota intelligent variable valve timing are pretty much bulletproof engines. This one's got 160,000 miles, doesn't burn oil, runs perfectly fine. I expect that from a Toyota engine. Now, those old ones years ago had problems burning oil, but this is a completely redesigned engine. They don't have that problem, and I don't see these having problems like some of the new Toyota V6 engine is. Sometimes older, like this 10-year-old one, is better than newer. So you got a great 4-cylinder engine, and it's teamed up with a pretty smooth 6-speed automatic transmission. It doesn't have all the complexities of a hybrid car or a turbocharged car. It is neither. These things can run and run and run. He wanted something for his wife and kids that could go a long way. But he wasn't interested in buying a brand new fancy Rav4 for $55,000. So far, I gotta say, he made a wise choice. Plus, not only did he opt for the 4-cylinder gasoline miser engine, but he's also just front-wheel drive. I have many viewers with Rav4s, they're only front-wheel drive. Up north in the winter, they just put snow tires on the front. And of course, the big advantage of front-wheel drive is this. You got all-wheel drive. You got to replace all 4 tires at the same time or it screws up the transmission, the transfer case. These, you could replace the front tires in pairs or the rear tire in pairs. You don't have to buy all 4 tires if one tire goes bad. And that's something to think about in terms of tires and expense over the years. Now it's 10 years old and it's a Toyota, but hey, the AC still works, transmission just fine. Everything else works. And maybe a 10-year-old car, but it still gets 31 miles a gallon on a highway. Who can complain about that? Of course, if you get the plug-in hybrid, you get 50-something. But then again, that's $50-something thousand. This was 14. You can buy a lot of gas with $40,000. Just let's face the facts. He wants me to go through it, so I'm trying out this new launch scanner. This is an interesting scanner. We'll turn it over, you can see what it is. It is a Launch Creator 2.0. It's the T because it's for Toyota. So here we go, it's up and running. We'll do auto detect. It's scanning it in. Now it's loading it. Now it didn't work, so here's my third and last try I'm gonna do. Now for some reason it has to download software, which I have no idea why, but let's see what happens. I've already downloaded everything. Now I have found that some of these devices will not work unless they are close to wireless network. And in this case, my wireless network is inside that hole in the garage, so we'll see what happens. Well, now it's downloading the software, and I can see one problem with these type of scan tools is if you are using them and you're not in a wireless network, a lot of times they don't work. So keep in mind, if you don't have a wireless network, a scan tool like this is probably not for you. Well, now it's installing the software. Let's see if it's going to work. Well, it's scanned okay, so let's see. All right, so far it's working. It's got the VIN number, Europe and others. It's a Rav4, 2 ARFE gasoline engine, 2014. Shows the kilometers. Well, in this case, this made a mistake. It said it's got 160,000 kilometers. It actually has 160,000 miles. So it's wrong with that. It's a Smart Key 4-cylinder. Okay. All right, now it's doing a health. As you can see, the scan tool goes through lots of systems in the car. So this is not just some basic simple code reader. It's got a lot of information it can pick up on. And it came up with engine code, ABS code, tire pressure monitoring, combination meter code, 5 body control module code, 3 codes, driver door mode, power source control, 2 codes. Navigation system, 6 codes. Master and slave have problems. Now for a Toyota, that's quite a bit of code, so let's start looking at them. Now this was a used car, probably sat for a while. Okay, so the engine code is startability malfunction. Typical on Toyotas, if they sit, the battery doesn't work right, or the keyless remote has a problem that'll do that. That's a code that means just about nothing on any Toyota. The tire pressure monitoring system has a code for transmitter not received, so you really don't expect a 10-year-old car with 160,000 miles to have working tire ones, so you don't really care. Combination meter says there's open in the turn signal circuit, but they work perfectly fine. Now there's a whole bunch of communication codes. Lost communication with ECM, TCM, AFS. Lost communication with C-control module. Now, that's often a classic sign of the battery went bad. It sat for a long time, which would also cause a startability function. We're going to erase all these codes and take it for a road test. And the entry and start problems are also communication loss. That could easily be from previous work or the battery going bad. Master switch to driver's side door is a malfunction. Yet everything works when I turn them on and off. Navigation system, the Bluetooth module malfunction. Things are disconnected. Okay. Hardly anyone uses a Toyota navigation system. We all got cell phones that work perfectly fine. You got to update those things, yada, yada, yada. No one cares about this. So a lot of communication stuff. We're going to turn the car off. But it's just the idiot lights on. We'll clear the codes. No, I'll clear them all quickly, except there is an open in the front passenger side electrical antenna circuit. Who cares? But we really don't care about that one out. All the other codes that could be really important codes, they've all disappeared. Now, as you can see, you can do all kinds of things. But we're going to look at all the data first. Air fuel learn value is 0, meaning it's running perfectly. It's not having to adjust anything. Now, this scan tool is different than most of my scan tools because you can see the data is red. This is normal data. It's red. So unlike most of my scan tools, black is good and red is bad. If red was bad, that would mean this car was running like crap because all the data is red. That's just the color that they're using. You can see the misfire count is 0. Shows the battery voltage. That's good, 14.75. You get all kinds of information. This scan tool has a lot. We're only at the C's. Now watch. Let's just go through them just for kicks. We're only in the E's. Look at the data this thing can do. And of course, it can graph them too if you want to. Push that and you get a graph of the thing. There's the graph. We'll rev it up a little. Advance the ignition a little as we revved it up. And we'll continue on. It's just wild. Now, you can see it takes a little while to fill them up. This is a lower end scan tool. The chip isn't super fast. So if you go really slow, you see the data comes up. But if you go too fast, then you got to wait a little. That's just the way it is with cheaper scan tools. They're not going to refresh as fast as a more expensive one. But still, look at the data. I mean, it's insane. Look at the data that this thing gives up. We're still only on the S's. Get transmission data. It's still going. All this data. And of course, you can read the codes, clear the memory, read a data stream. You can actuate various things. And we go back. There's special functions too. Reset learning value. Reset memory. Reset your service light for the oil. Match the throttle. So I do have to say, it's a pretty good scan tool. It does a lot of stuff. Now, as I warned you, unfortunately, I found that this thing has to be connected to the internet. So I had to move the car closer to my garage so I could get to communicate back and forth and could download stuff. If you're living somewhere where you don't have an internet connection, the scan tool is not for you. Doesn't have to be all that fast, but it's got to be able to communicate from what I've seen, because the first 2 times I tried it didn't work. It kept saying, is it plugged in? And of course it was plugged in. I'm not an idiot, right? But as soon as I moved the car next to where my internet booster was for the outside, then it downloaded and it worked. So you got to use these babies where there's internet. Now, it's completely touchscreen, so there's no buttons to break. And we'll see what happens over time if this thing holds up. Sometimes these screens break, sometimes they work perfectly fine. But not having the buttons, well, that's one less thing to break down. A lot of them have buttons and touch screens. It doesn't make any sense to have both. Why pay for the buttons when you don't need them? Now, before we take it for a road test, we'll kind of look through the vehicle. Everything's still in good shape, no cracks. The seats are in phenomenal shape, they're comfortable. And of course, there's tons of room for car seats in the back. And it is an SUV, so got a reasonable amount of room in the back. As we walk in, you can see there's a lot of room back here. And thank goodness it does have a spare tire, so you're not stranded if you get a big flat in the middle of nowhere. A lot of vehicles don't even have spares anymore. And it even has auto shut on it. So let's start her up, take it for a spin. Put it in reverse. Well, the backup camera's okay. Not the greatest resolution. It's an old car, so it doesn't have side and top view or anything. But it's usable. Now, it might have 160,000 miles on it, but drive, even though it's a 4-cylinder, it idles smooth as can be. So as we drive down the road, I'll adjust the mirror so I can see the back. Just shifted, didn't feel it shift hardly at all. 160,000 miles, transmission still shifting pretty smooth. Going around a little, gone a long way in these Rav4s. Now, this is a 10-year-old one, but if you go back in the day of the early ones, they rode like crap. This thing is 10 years old and it still rides pretty well. You want speed, go ahead and buy the $56,000 one. But hey, for $14,000 that he paid for this, we'll make sure there's nobody behind us. And we'll do our little takeoff test. Here we go. Not a race car, but still shifts smooth. Runs perfectly fine. We're doing 50 now. This is a great transportation vehicle to haul your family around in. You want to pass somebody with 140, we'll floor it. And yeah, not a race car. You know, it took a little while to get going to 50, yes. But, hey, it gets you there. It's even got lane departure that still works. Hey, I went over the line without using my turn signal. And it knows, it's warning me. 10 years old, still works, hey. Brakes still work perfectly fine. The downshift of the transmission is good. Still idles like a dream. You don't need a 6-cylinder engine for a smooth idle these days. The 4s are fine. It's warning me, it's warning me. And you can see, look, I'm driving with no hands. It's not pulling, shaking, still in excellent shape. So now we've come back from a road test, and the only code was the one that stayed that says open in front passenger side electrical antenna. All the other codes are green, and other codes came back. So, I'm assuming those codes are because either the battery went bad or it was low at one point and been replaced. Nobody reset the computers because none of those codes came back. Only that the antennas are short. And who cares? Who even uses radio antennas these days? So what did we learn? Well, this Launch Creator Elite 2.0T for Toyotas only seems to be a pretty good scan tool as long as you're using it where you have internet access. Because when I tried using it at the end of the driveway where it has no internet access because it doesn't beam out that far, it's not like a cell phone, it doesn't have a card in it, so I got to use the house internet, it didn't work. It would do stuff and then say you're not plugged in. It wouldn't let me access it until I got close enough to my antenna in the garage that it would work. So you got to use this where you have internet capability, wireless somewhere, right? It doesn't have a card, so you can't put a card in it. It has to use the internet that's lying around. Now, that works fine. When you put it on settings, it'll show you the internets in the area. You click on the one you want and put in the password, and it works fine. But you got to have that. Just realize that. Otherwise, pretty good scan tool for Toyotas and Lexuses. Same company, same software. Now, as for the car itself, 160,000 miles, 4-cylinder engine, front-wheel drive, excellent vehicle still. Got tons of life in it. You don't necessarily need a V6. Now, sure, you buy a brand new plug-in Rav4 Prime, get 50-something miles a gallon, you could drive it on electricity alone, 45 miles, but it was $40,000 more than what he paid for this. So, put that in your pipe and smoke it when you're thinking about, what am I going to buy, what do I want to spend, and realize, a 10-year-old Toyota with 160,000 miles, if it's been taken care of, even minimally, can still be a great car. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.